Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarkets podcast pioneer with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. Hey everybody, Carm Capriato at Vision 2025 again. License to Skill. God, do I love that logo, and do I love that name here for Vision Hi-Tech Training Expo here 2025 in Kansas City. Thank you so much to NAPA Tracks for having us. Wow. See that sign behind me? Cool stuff. NAPA Tracks on-site training plus 6 days a week support. NAPATRACS.com. Thanks, NAPA Tracks, for having us here. They're going to move your shop into the SMS fast lane with on-site training and 6 days a week support and local representation, which I think is the coolest. Find NAPA Tracks on the web at NAPATRACS.com. And hey, ready to optimize your training? We'll do it with today's class. Roll out a training plan for your automotive shop in just 5 minutes daily. Boost knowledge, retention, and improve team performance. Start seeing results today. Join your peers. It's so much fun at todaysclass.com. Hey, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, and thanks. Hey, welcome back, Town Hall Academy. We're in the 400 somehow. Imagine doing this for 400 some weeks. Amazing stuff. I got an episode that, if you will, it's all about me getting up on my soapbox about apprentice programs. We don't do enough of them. We're waiting for the kids, for our young men and women to fix me and correct me anytime, guys. They come either into a high school skilled trades program or go on to 2-year post-secondary and come out, and all of a sudden they're genius ATECs, right? And we have forever said we've got to grow our own. And this episode is about apprenticing. I've got 3 really cool people across from me. Jake Sorensen from McNeil's in Sandy, Utah. Okay. So here's the bio. Get a cup of coffee. It's a long one. 2019 NAPA ASE Technician of the Year, the 2019 Ratchet and Wrench All-Star Technician of the Year, ASE Master Technician with an L123, and World Class. Damn, when did that happen, Jake?
I think it's been a little over 2 years, maybe 3, somewhere around there.
Good for you. Jake Sorensen, I don't even think I mentioned your name in the beginning. Because his boss, Pete McNeil, said, we need people. What are we going to do? Well, you both put your heads together and says, let's develop an apprentice program. And I think you went with NAPA and says, hey, we want to do this thing. And NAPA said, okay, we'll watch along from the sidelines. And all of a sudden, it became the NAPA Apprentice Program.
Yeah, Pete was frustrated that we had people in our quick service, new to the industry, but we didn't have a path forward for them. And he said, why can't we help train these people? And so we had to put together a program to make that happen. NAPA caught wind of it, and they sent some people out to see, but they kind of told us beforehand, hey, that's awesome, and we've seen some apprenticeships throughout the country, but scaling these, to different shops around the country is where it's really difficult. They came out and said, hey, we think we can make this work in shops all over, and push it out to the auto cares.
Great. I think, 1,000 plus right now?
Yep, I know they broke the 1,000 number. So.
1,000 plus apprentices going through the NAPA program. You're here at Vision training this year. Is this your first?
Yeah, I've been coming to Vision for, I think, 6 or 7 years now, and this is my first year training. I'm pretty excited about it.
Wow.
That's been one of my goals.
Did you get any kind of approval from Bill Weaver at all, do you think?
I tried to sneak this one under the radar, so I was hoping he wouldn't find out before
And
the
he
class.
probably picked up the phone and called you and says, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about your job, I'm sure of it.
I'm looking forward to having people take over my job. In fact, that's what the apprentice program does for all of us, right?
Yeah.
We have to fill that pipeline, and whether it's a trainer, a technician, a lube tech, it's all about moving up. Nobody comes out equipped to do everything in the shop. It's a learned and earned level of achievement.
Bill Weaver, NAPA Autotech trainer, hangs out at the EV Ready Training Center down in Canton. We spent some time there with you.
Oh, we have a good time. We're at the EV Training Center, don't we?
If you ever want to see what this Chevy Bolt battery looks like, and Tracy dressed up in beekeeper stuff, I mean, go to the website and just type in Tracy or Bill Weaver or EV Ready and watch this video where Tracy's all gloved up, hooded up, you overhauled up, and he's got her working a ratchet or everything, man.
We've spent some time taking Tracy through the exact program that, in fact, Zach sooner or later will be out for our level 2 program, and he'll be inside that same battery.
I loved it. Tracy asks some of those most incredible questions as, if you will, an outsider looking in. Like, how many consumers would have a chance to hang out with you and see that happen? Great stuff. Really good. Anyway, you brought your latest apprentice graduate with you, Zach Coccimiglio. Thank you for being here, Zach. Also, an ASE world-class technician.
Yes, sir.
Damn, cool for you. And before we turn on the mics, you said about his program, he was the what? Fastest something?
The fastest through our program. Most people take about 2 years. There's
Yeah.
some fluctuation in there. Zach did it in just under a year
Okay. All right. So
and learned.
I need to know why in a minute, but I do want to get up on my soapbox again. If you turn this episode off without really waiting until the end and getting the ideas and generate your passion for wanting to do and bring an apprentice program to your shop, then shame on you, because this is going to be our early in the year motivation to get this thing to happen. Why? I think I know the answer, but why did you do this in 1 year?
Having a good mentor.
Maybe not why, but how?
How? I just put my head down. Yeah, I was motivated. That's a tough question, I guess.
Okay. I know so many great master techs, Bill, in the industry. They're in the books. They study at night. They keep journals. They're driving themselves into their network. They're philosophizing. They're talking about methodology. Did you take all the stuff that you learned during the day and just consume it again at night over and over again?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, being able to apply it practically during the day at work, what I learned the night before and what I struggled with the next day, and being able to take that and apply that to the, obviously a large portion of it's the online training, but there was also hands-on presentations and that kind of stuff. And you just, did plenty of online stuff through high school and some college and that, and you just never had a chance to put it in front of anybody or apply it, right? And I was doing the job that I was training for while I had the schooling in front of me. So
Got it. What are you doing now in the shop?
most of what I do is diagnostic work at this point. I still definitely
How long have you been in the industry?
professionally as a career about 3 years now.
That's cool. I love this. Explain to me how 2 year, I'm hearing you don't have to be right out of school to get into an apprentice program. This is the part I think that's great about you, Zach. In the industry a few years, you hired him and you threw him through the apprentice program. And maybe that's why it took a year, because you've already actually been under a hood.
Yeah, I was fortunate to grow up around it, but I never pursued it as a professional career. I had some experience with restorations, but nothing modern. And so I was fortunate to have my hands in it all, but I would say the 85-90% of my understanding came once I started working with McNeil's and doing the apprenticeship.
Jake, could you keep up with his input, how quickly it was happening?
Half the time he'd tell me he finished all the training. I'd say, okay, well, we're supposed to retain that, right? Slow down, do it again. And then I realized, no, he knows that he's got it set.
Wow.
Having a little bit of that experience on the front side helped, but there was motivation on his end. A lot of these guys, when they're in a stage, the apprenticeship's broken into 9 stages. When they're in one of the stages, I'll ask for an update, and oftentimes I'm told, oh, we had some family stuff going on. I went on a trip. I had this or that, which happens. We all have life. But when I would ask Zach, how are you coming on that? Oh, that's done. Okay, well, that's how we're going to get done with this thing real fast. He had a lot of motivation on his personal time to get this stuff done.
A mentor at all? Did you have one?
No. Of course, this guy.
Would you have normally assigned a mentor?
No, this guy was obviously by my side the whole time. And
Okay.
He, anytime I had questions, and that's a big part of it, the help. Obviously, it's self-motivated, but having him there to somewhat keep you accountable and make sure that things were on track. That
Bill,
was
what do you
huge.
think of doing this in a year?
Well, there's some color I'd like to add there, and it's a question for you, Zach.
Oh, boy.
As a younger man, and we all go through our stages, we'll call them, how did you motivate yourself to actually get that discipline? Because you're rather on the younger side to develop that discipline. And honestly, that's what everybody needs to take away from it. Most people that enter a program like this are well capable of understanding. And I think the biggest thing is the commitment to give up your evenings and maybe not every softball game or every trip out to, the tavern or whatever. How do you find it in yourself to make that change as a younger person, to make the commitment to going forward?
Yeah, I would say a big part of that, I'm not afraid to say that I bounced around with several different jobs over, my working career, graduating high school. And then I worked in the cycling industry a lot and worked at 4 or 5 different shops. I did some restoration work and a few other odd jobs in between. And none of it was fulfilling. I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. It wasn't setting and achieving goals. And that became important to me. And I still remember, it's one of those things. I remember the day Jake called me. We've known each other for a long time just because of my relation to the shop. And I still remember the day he called me and was like, "Hey, what are you up to? What have you been working on?" And I was at one of the bike shops at the time. And he said, "Let's go to lunch." And he I knew of the apprenticeship program, but I didn't know the layout or anything like that and what it would be like. And definitely didn't pressure me into it, but showed me what was possible and who had been through it. And I was able to kind of take the time and be like, all right, if I want to make this change in my life and set goals and achieve them, this seems like a super good format. And I felt confident that I had the prowess to do it. I know I didn't know everything or anywhere near that, but it seemed like this was the path to feel like I had accomplished something. So,
Wow. I mean, so well spoken. You're ready for great things in this industry. And for you, Jake, always be recruiting.
Yeah.
Think about that. How many resumes you have in your top left drawer?
Hey, when it comes to running an ad for an apprenticeship, you don't have a lack of applicants like you do running an ad for a technician. It's finding the right person, the right fit, somebody that's got the personality you want in your shop, has the, desire to learn and the ability. And
God, you brought up such a great point. We're looking to build a great culture and the great attitudes. And wow. I mean, that's big.
Yeah. I have a question that kind of relates to that. How did you get management and ownership to buy into giving you the time did you have to prove it out through the first one? Did you have to prove that you were capable of doing it? I mean, how did we get the buy-in to begin with your shop to dedicate so much of your time?
I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of different shop owners and travel around and be in shops, talk to technicians. And I can tell you that Zach and I are both really fortunate to work for a great owner.
Absolutely.
That he saw the problem there in our industry, saw that we don't have more technicians every year, we have less. And he said, we can sit on the sideline and complain about it, or we can do something. And, he was the one that pushed this, saying, why are we not taking these people that are interested in this career and helping train them and helping push them through? And, my argument on the front side would be because we don't have a plan. We don't have the resources needed. And, it finally came to a boiling point where he said, well, let's do it then. Put it together. He's one of those guys that you can keep giving him the excuses, but eventually, he'll figure out a way to work around the excuse. And so
there's a thing called doing.
Yeah.
Do it.
What we got.
So you've put 5 apprentices through your program. Is it 1 a year? Is it you got 1.5 a year? How you doing it?
It varies. We now have 2 shops, so we're running typically 1 apprentice at each shop. So as one graduates, we'll usually have somebody kind of on the line that's interested to move into that spot. One thing I'll say, I always hate listening in on some of these podcasts and stuff where everybody paints this rosy picture where everything's perfect and there's no problems, right? We've had a few that didn't work out, and it's going to happen, and that's one of the arguments I get from a lot of shop owners is, what if I train these people and they just take off and leave? But what if nobody out there trains these people? Then what do we do?
Yeah, not to have anybody.
We're going to have the highest brick wall to climb to fix people's problems, minimize comebacks, do the job right the first time. It's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, and set this thing up right. You're going to benefit from these apprentices throughout their apprenticeship as well. The front side, it's not as much, right? You're investing heavily on your end and their abilities are limited, but there's a point where you cross where they're producing a lot more. The quality of work's a lot better. The mentor doesn't have to spend as much time helping or training, and it's profitable for the shop owner at that point. So yeah, if they do happen to leave or it doesn't work out on that one, let's find the guy that does work out.
What if they don't leave?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather have a highly trained technician in your area that you installed into him the shop policies the way that it's supposed to be? You know what I heard, Carm? Anybody who's thinking about doing an apprentice program, it's a stool effect. You have to have 3 legs on that stool in order to balance it. If management, mentorship, and the apprentice itself don't all agree on which way the program should run, how we should implement it, understanding the losses up front, the gains in the back, I think that's why a lot of the programs were unable to scale.
Yeah.
They did not think about the big picture. And as we go farther into this business, we are changing, I would say, probably the style of owner that we deal with. And I think they're a little bit more cognizant of how the investment has to be made in not only equipment, base space, advertising. Human resources in our industry is a larger pull on percentage of income than probably in most other industries. We have to hire specialists
Thank you.
for everything.
I got $20. I'll give it to you later.
It's already
Thank
in
you.
my pocket. Thanks.
No. Thank you.
Hey, let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. NAPA Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the industry's best, most comprehensive SMS. Now, it all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business and how you need to run it. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice, and having local representation is a huge plus. Customizing tracks to your business, whether you're a one-person shop or a large multi-bay or multi-location company, a representative consults with you to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. Trax always has the flexibility to do business how you need to do it, which means it can also grow as your business grows. And unlike the other guys, will be there for you after installation with the best training and support in the business. Yes, a learning management system tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. Visit us on the web at NAPA Trax, that's NAPATRACS.com. Transform your team with today's class, where automotive training is easy, quick, and fun. Just 5 minutes a day on our app can eliminate hours of looking up forgotten information later. It's perfect for technicians, advisors, and managers alike. Keep critical knowledge fresh and top of mind, ensuring your team operates at peak efficiency. Today's class is impactful, accessible from anywhere, and a bit of fun too, and we're not talking about after-hours pizza either. For training that gets results, turn to todaysclass.com.
Something I wish other shop owners would understand or see is, I'm pushing this apprenticeship thing for selfish reasons as well, right? We need technicians in our shop. If every shop around me starts an apprenticeship, they train somebody, they get a person in that position that's doing well, they're not hiring from the pool out there anymore, right? It just helped me. So we need all these shops to start producing technicians, helping, put in their part.
I got to know something. Young people that are coming out of a 2-year school, and I'm trying to zero in on how Zach did his 1 year. And they come in and they know the automotive, depending on the school. Would you put them through a program and maybe watch them finish in a year? Or would you just let them come in, assess them, and then decide what to do? Because in my mind, it almost seems like a 2-year school, post-secondary, college level 2-year program could so benefit from going through, at whatever pace they want to go through, an apprentice program. What do you think of that?
I have a lot of experience with tech schools, so I'll be very careful here. It does depend on the school and the instructor. It also depends on the population of students that are in that program. There is a lot of wasted time in automotive programs because the candidates aren't correct for the program. And that causes frustration and lag in learning. So a lot of the 2-year programs that are out there, we're getting, 20 to 30% that are actually retaining. And I know this is hard to hear in the industry, but we all know it's true. We get 20 to 30% that are retaining the information they got. So if you're going to start an apprentice program and they're confident in their 2-year degree, why wouldn't you make them go through that program and show me you can finish it in 6 months? Because most of it should already be here.
That's why I thought about this. You did this in 1 year.
Yeah.
Because you had a little bit of the been there, done that, but not to the degree that, and I think it's a brilliant idea. Jake, you bring them in, you give them the 2-year program, and you watch them, and you see if they can do something like a Zach did.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of the trade schools, and we need more education, but there's limitations, and I think we've tried to fool ourselves on what the trade school is. These guys go into there, like Bill said, a lot of them, it's not the right field for them. Maybe they're not even truly interested in it, but somebody's pushed them. Then the whole time they're in the program, they're told, hey, you're going to make 6 figures, and they think that's the day they graduate. Yep. They have debt when they leave the program. They don't have tools yet. They haven't built up that tool collection. That's really hard for a shop owner to hire somebody with 0 experience has debt, doesn't have tools, and bring them in day one with high pay expectations. So that's the problem that we've seen and that we're fighting with that. But what we have found is there's some people coming out of these programs that understand that and they know they need the hands-on training. We had an apprentice that went through the community college program at the same time he went through our apprenticeship. And I can tell you, the guy was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really good at what he does and was learning both ends at the same time. And it worked very well.
To your point, let me just pontificate about this pay thing. You can make up to $100,000. And this individual says, whoa, this is just cooler than cool. I can make as much as a doctor. No, doctors make a lot more. But it reminds me of the advertising come on as low as $99.95. And then by the time you're done with your transaction, you spent $250, right? Mm-hmm. But you're going in to expect you're going to get an entry level mechanical specialist job. And, you may earn maybe $29. I don't know what the number is. I don't know what there's people are. I just heard a thing about 5 guys is paying $20 and the average wage of a specialist in our industry in the mechanical level is $24.95. How could this be?
Don't ask me that.
I know. And I get that. So we're throwing all these numbers around and we think it's a recruitment tool, but it's not. It's a reality tool that we can get people to come in. And listen, I'm on an advisory board of a 2-year school. We hear they go out, they get taken in by the dealers, they go into the lube bay, and they're gone 6 months to a year and a half because they didn't see a career path and the money wasn't what they expected. So they take the tools that they decided to invest in and they go to fleets and they go to government and we lose them out of the mix of ours. I think we have to be more honest, but we also have to get out there and start talking to the parents and the educators about what the opportunities exist in this level of professionalism in our business.
Yeah, I want to rehash Bill's point that a lot of these people that are in those programs just aren't fit for it or ready for it or don't know what they're getting into. A couple of weeks ago, Pete and I went to the local community college. The instructor there asked if we had any interest in coming in and explaining the benefits of working in an independent shop versus a dealership, because that's where most go from their program. And we talked to them all, told them what we think the benefits are and some of the differences, had a Q&A session. And at the end, we said, hey, if anyone has any interest in a career path, here's our contact information. I didn't have one reach out.
Okay, I have to do this. I'm sorry. I'm at a weak point, and I have to tell this story again, where we did the same thing, but a bunch of independents were invited into the school to talk to a class. And I tagged along because I'm in this independent group in Buffalo. If you've heard this, please bear with me, but it's worth repeating. The instructor got up and said, well, last week we had the dealers here, and this week we brought in the mom and pops. And I got up from the back of the class. Tracy was with me. I jumped up there and I said, Bob, I got to say something. And everyone in the room knew what I was going to do. And by the time we were done explaining this power of professionalism, the years in business, what they're paying their people, the continuing education that goes on, the beauty and the glory of working on all these models, which I think is better than just focused and lazy in one particular brand. He said, I'm sorry, Carm. So we had to prove a point. It's great to say that he wanted to come in and have these professional independents in, but a lot of the people that are in these legacy training positions in our colleges out there really look at the independents as mom and pops. And we're not bodegas.
Well, and a lot of them too, I don't think we're going into this industry at all. When we were asking them what they're doing or what they're interested in, a lot of them said, I just wanted to learn how to fix my own car. It's nothing they want to do as a career path, but that's who we're training and trying to move into this career, right?
Today's technicians, it's, if you're going to speak truth, you need to realize the aftermarket technician, it's probably one of the hardest jobs on the planet. When you think about all the knowledge that has to be accumulated, then if you're going to be a technology specialist, the added that goes along with it, like Carm said, all makes, all models, you never know what's going to come in. It might be a restoration. It might be a lawnmower. You have no idea what's going to come through that door. The ability for a manufacturer to come in and sweep somebody off their feet in a tech school is very easy. And then they stagnate them in the lube bay. Nobody mentors them. They are just put off, and it just turns them right out of the industry. Well, and we've talked about mentoring before. We need to do a better job of mentoring people into the industry instead of right out of it.
I agree. Look, is this online? Is it hands-on? Give me an overview of the program from your perspective, Zach.
I think a big part of, you guys were mentioning, these guys don't know what they're getting into as far as if this is a good fit for them, and you can go through this schooling, and I haven't done any of the secondary. I guess I did a short stint at a diesel program and realized it wasn't for me, with very little hands-on experience to really make that claim. I think the beauty of the apprenticeship is you're getting experience hands-on day one. You're in the shop. I know you can't really teach what a shop environment's like in a classroom. At least I wouldn't imagine that's very easy. And that's a huge part of the career, right? You can learn the technical stuff. But anyway, so you're exposed to that stuff from what I would say is day one, which is huge. It's a mix of hands-on because you're obviously through the apprenticeship. You're there every day. You're working on cars, whether you're in the lube bay, which I did my time there, or you're in the back shop starting to do basic repairs and that kind of stuff. But it's a healthy mix of online and in person. So most of the online stuff I would do at home. Sometimes during the day, if I didn't have a car in my bay, it would be a little bit there at the shop. But
But how much is online? What percentage of training, or all of it's online, and then you come back and then you do practical? How does that work?
So obviously the big portion of the training is the hands-on in person in the bay everyday experience. But then as far as the training goes, they're supposed to go to instructor-led training, and it's in the later stages, they have to go to at least 1 4-hour class through each stage. The online training varies from each stage, but it's roughly 100 hours per stage of online training that they're supposed to do. They've also got a portion where they do a demonstration to the mentor. So let's say that that section is about steering and suspension. They're supposed to go research something they feel like they didn't learn enough about or need to know more about. They're supposed to research it on their end and explain it to the mentor as if they're trying to teach the mentor about it, right? To learn a little more.
And I can't emphasize that's one of the biggest takeaways. I have several. I remember I did one on alignments and understanding alignment angles and their effect from the driver's position. And you learn about that stuff in the course online, but to make yourself understand it well enough to then repeat it to somebody else, that's helped me immeasurably.
When
and
you
I still
teach, you learn.
Yep. And I still have the study tools that I used from that I can reference if I ever come up with a question, because inevitably you can't remember it all. But yeah, that was a huge part. And I would encourage anybody that does it to take full advantage of that aspect of it.
I can tell you as a mentor too, you research and learn it as well, because you don't want this guy coming and telling you things you don't know already, so it's good on our end as well.
You don't want to say, oh, really?
Yeah, I knew that.
You should tell me that a little bit deeper. Let me see if you really get it.
And what were your resources?
Yeah.
Show me how many clicks it took to get there.
Go show me that. Can you copy that URL for me?
That's it, though. It's the whole shop is benefiting, learning, improving. You say it all the time, but the rising waters raise all ships, and that's the apprenticeship does that as well.
Are you proud of where you guys have taken this apprentice program?
Yeah, it's, I look back at when we were building the program, and I can tell you, I'm not the guy that has vision out to the future, to say, oh, this is what's going to come of this. I thought, hey, we'll train up 1 or 2 guys that hopefully can help us out here. And when I look back on what we've accomplished and what these guys have accomplished, it's insane to me. If you told me that we were going to bring somebody in the amount of time that Zach's done it, that's going to help take stress off my plate, taking diagnostics, taking the difficult vehicles, I would have told you that's not possible, that it takes a lot more experience. But this guy, the cars I've seen him take and the problems he's solved with no help, it just is mind-blowing to me.
You just have that built-in thirst for logic, diag. You found kind of
I crave it.
Did you know that going in, or did you just watch him bloom?
No, so Zach's part of the family, the shop owner, and so I've known him for a long time, and I've seen him and knew that he had a logical mind. He can think through things well. I didn't know how well it would apply to what he's doing now, but I knew he had the ability to do big things. And man, watching his process, it's one of those things where one of the benefits for me is when I've got a difficult vehicle, having somebody I can bounce something off of that even understands, having somebody I can have that conversation with. And every time with Zach, I'll think, I'm just going to bounce it off him so I can talk out loud, and hopefully something comes up and he'll say, well, did you think about this? Hey, you haven't been doing this long enough to be helping me
those
yet.
are proud
I'll be
moments.
back in a minute.
Far and few between, but yeah.
So if you were going to set out in an apprentice program And hopefully at the end of the funnel, you could graduate an individual who had a lot of leanings for being a diag specialist, okay? What would you do in the beginning to try to find that core individual? What kind of questions would you ask? What would you be looking for? Now, I hear you said he had a logical mind. Is that going to be the biggest thing you're looking for?
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer because I don't know that I don't believe that finding somebody that's doing what Zach is the norm or is going to be fairly regular. One of the nice things about the apprenticeship is that, yeah, we've hired these people when they're learning. They don't have that experience necessarily yet, so we don't know what path they're going to take or where it's going to lead. And we've seen all of them vary, different skill sets, things that certain ones are better at than the others. As far as the diagnostic thing, and I don't know, other than just somebody that can problem solve, somebody that can think through issues, and it doesn't have to be on the car, but when the apprenticeship, I'll tell you, there's the online training. One of the things that we realized early on was some of these guys, they couldn't get logged in and they need help resetting their password and finding the website. And I'm going, guys, if you can't do that, good luck on these modern scan tools.
Yep.
When you've got subscriptions and you've got authentication that you have to go through and everything. So that's kind of some of the clues that you see. And you find somebody like a Zach, he's not coming and asking me these questions, and I'm going, well, are you doing the training? Yeah, I'm through it. Well, he figured it out.
Okay. You had said a couple of them haven't worked out over the however many years you've been doing this, Jake. Do you make the decision in the beginning this isn't going to work, or do they just fail or fall out?
So usually we figure it out in the early stages.
Okay.
Right. Pretty early on, it's apparent that this isn't going to be a good fit. We've had a few, though, that have gotten a lot further than I expected before you realize sometimes it's an attitude thing, when they're applying and when they're in the early parts of the apprenticeship, they want to impress everybody. They want this career path. They're appreciative of what's being offered. They're trying to make this work. And then it's like something clicks, maybe they're talking to other people. They're telling them, hey, they owe you. You're the one that's making them money and you better expect everything out of them. And it's like a personality change where they just, you realize they're not the person you want in your shop.
Right. How many people do you have?
So we have 2 locations. We have one at each that does mainly diagnostics. And then I float between the 2 and help out with the overflow.
You're the backup.
Yeah, actually, our first apprentice, Rex, is the diag guy at our other shop as well. So Rex has been doing it quite a bit longer. He came about it a different path, took a little more time to get to that level, but he's a very talented technician as well. And, we all take a different path, and his was a little different than Zach's.
Do you ever pick up the phone and call Bill Weaver?
Yes, I do. Hey.
And what do you talk about?
I say, Bill, this car's broken. I don't know what to do.
I usually tell them good luck. Let me know.
Hey, I can tell you, everybody in this industry is going to have to help with mentoring, right? And doing their part. And all of us are hopefully trying to improve ourselves in some aspect. Right now, for me, I'm doing some training and trying to become a better instructor, trying to understand things better. And I can tell you, Bill is a great mentor with that. I had a class I was going to be teaching on diesels. I don't work on diesels, okay? I do very little. I watched a recorded version of Bill teaching a class, and I learned a lot about the diesels, but I learned a lot about instruction, about teaching, about explaining things, taking something that's very dry topic. We're talking about chemicals and reaction processes, and I thought, I am not going to stand up in front of people and teach this. And I watched Bill's, and I'm like, that's kind of fun. That's interesting. Well, I called Bill after, and I said, hey, that was great. There's a couple things here I do not get. I don't understand it. And here, let's slow it down, and we're going to start with this, and then it moves to this, and wow, that's actually pretty simple to understand. So Bill's been a mentor to me as well, whether he knows it or not, and I think that's what we need more of. He's mentoring people every day. He's teaching in the EV world right now, but maybe whether he knows it or not, he's mentoring others as well.
Well, I can tell you, I'm just paying a debt. These guys know the story. I had my mentor in here.
Yeah, we've done an episode with you in Canton with your mentor. Please look up Bill Weaver and his mentor. It's an episode you won't forget. Got to listen to it. Yeah. Okay. What's your role in this whole thing? You describe it to our listener as an individual who wants to bring in a program. Let's just assume it's a shop owner or maybe their shop manager. How hard is the role of watching, moving, assessing holding people accountable.
I heard something kind of funny a while ago from a shop owner. He asked, how many people were doing apprenticeships, and said, you got your main tech probably being the mentor. And they said, yeah. And he says, so you want to lose that tech? And I thought, whoa, hold on. We're encouraging people to do this. That was an eye opener to me, that it takes the right person and they need all of the support that you can give them. You cannot take your main guy that's turning big numbers, your highest production guy, and say, hey, have this guy shadow you, and we still expect everything that you've been doing already. That's not going to work. So you've got to have the support from all angles. You need somebody that's going to run this apprenticeship program, and that may also be the mentor. It may be somebody else, right? Maybe you've got an office person that's going to help make sure the apprentices are going through their stages, doing their training, getting signed up, and then somebody in the bay. But you've got to figure out where that mix is for your shop. And it starts with finding the right fit, looking for that applicant. Again, I don't think many shops are going to have a hard time finding applicants. It's just sifting through to find the right personality, the right person that's going to work in your shop, and then get them signed up on the training. And the first few stages, hopefully you figure out if this is somebody that's going to work, this is somebody that wants it, they're going to put in the effort, and then get them set up with that mentor to move through the rest.
It's a great point on mentors, but I want to stop for a moment and maybe ask Zach this. If you don't put your top person as a mentor for all the smart and right reasons, could Zach be so far into the program, wouldn't it be easier for him to shadow the top person after he's gained all this knowledge, so he's not asking too many basic questions? Was there a point in time he mentored under Rex for a little bit or not?
Rex was at the other location.
Different location, okay.
But definitely working with other technicians, yeah. And
Okay.
the important part's that front side, that first few months.
Yeah.
They don't need, at that point, they don't need to be with your main tech. They don't need to be.
Have you ever
involved
moved
there yet.
mentors around then? I mean, different mentors?
We've done a little bit with it. So Rex is now mentoring technicians at the one shop. I help at the main shop where Zach's at, and now Zach is helping to mentor some of them as well. So we're kind of splitting that responsibility up. One thing we've been pretty lucky to be able to do, though, is moving our apprentices between the locations, because everybody's got a different personality, right? You learn at different rates. We also get different work, different types of work, different workloads at our different locations. So what we've been finding is about every other stage, we're transferring them shops, different environment, different people, and it's been a huge benefit. I know not everybody has that ability, but maybe it is moving between mentors just so they're working with somebody different.
Wow. Zach, anything I forgot to ask you or that you'd like to talk about?
Go off the top of my head. I'll chime in if I can think of anything, but just soaking it all up for now.
Are you happy working at McNeil's?
I love
Be
it.
careful.
I love it.
Be careful.
I'm not scared to tell them. Yeah, it's been great. Everybody says don't work for family, but
Your family.
I love it. I love it.
Your
I really
family. Is it Pete's?
Pete's my uncle.
Pete's your uncle?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been my grandpa's the one that started McNeil's back in the day, and spent a lot of time growing up with him working on old Volkswagens is what got me interested in all of it.
Damn.
Yeah, but
Oh, cool.
I tell many people in my life, I always thought of it was going to be a hobby. I never considered it as a career, and I couldn't be happier, and I'm bummed that I waited as long as I did. So,
Wow.
but
Well, thanks for being here with us. And I love the fact that you said, hey, you got to go to Vision, not to watch you train, but to get training.
No, I told him he can't come to my class.
well, I'm going to sneak in there.
I'm going.
This guy wants training, and this is the place for it.
It's so good.
Is it the same time that I'm doing my class? What time is it? It's
Tomorrow afternoon.
Saturday afternoon? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing mine. Oh, damn. You're going to have to go, Tracy, and check out. Is it here or is it somewhere
We're
else?
at the DoubleTree. They found out it was me. They said,
Kicked him
let's
off.
kick him out of here.
I got it.
I had the same issue.
Well, you were hands on.
From a apprentice perspective, Bill, do you get calls from the people that are doing this at all? I know you're specialized in EV right now, but so many people know you. Any involvement from your perspective in apprenticing?
You know, the apprentice program, when I was doing the nighttime training, I was aware of it. And when we brought Jake over to start doing some nighttime training, that's where I became more aware of it. It was really intriguing. So after I looked into it, because I've, through time, and the story, I've mentored some people through there at the shop, and not at the level that you guys were doing it. Just because somebody did it for me, you try to bring them up and give them the same opportunity. You can achieve or you cannot achieve. It's your choice from here. You have the knowledge. We gave you the tools. If you're going to use them, use them. If not, don't. But when you're looking for them, I go back to the commitment. It can't just be a one-sided commitment anymore. You have to understand that the mentor is going to lose hours that he turns for you normally. I mean, everything Jake said, it's because they've lived it. They've done it. And it's a proven prescription. It literally is proven out, and it's proven out across the country. And it's not going to be 100% fill rate. It can't be. That's not any job in the world. We're looking for, you say technology specialist, I'll go one farther. We're looking for people that have artisan hands and engineering minds. We're looking for unicorns.
Unfortunately, that's true.
So apprenticing is no different than the journeyman programs that we hear from electricians and welders. We can't wait. There's never going to be a national apprentice or journeyman's program for automotive technology. I just don't believe there's going to be. We've got to do it on our own. And that's why I so believe in this. As well, I know NAPA is so far behind it. And Jake, that you have, I just noticed you have an EV ready shirt on. Whoa.
There we go.
Oh my God. Okay. You are bought in, baby.
Oh, I'm bought in.
What's your favorite flavor of Kool-Aid?
Blue and gold.
Artisan hands. I love that.
If you work on them, you'll see.
And a
It's not-
technology
you can't just
mind,
bend
huh?
things out of the way. It's gotten a lot more difficult than it was when I started.
I've got this big push on the rise of the mechanical or technology specialist, this whole language shift in the industry. And what hit me just a couple of weeks ago was the word technologist instead of technology specialist, to shorten it to one word, technologist. So that's what I believe you are.
Well, it's funny. The registration got pushed through, I think, while I wasn't at the shop one day. I knew I was going, and I'm used to seeing automotive technician on the tag. And I looked down and I got my tag, and it says technology specialist. And I've never referred to it that way before, but I'm a believer in it. I guess it makes good sense to
And
me.
thank you for that, because Sherry told me, Carm, we so believe in your language shift that you may just see some of that appear at Vision this year.
I love it. Can I get an encyclopedia, a dictionary of all of this? I need to pick up on one.
I am. I'm going to give it to you just before you leave.
Perfect.
I brought a bunch of copies to hand out to my friends. Last word, Jake.
I think the biggest thing is that you've got to get in on doing this. You know, you can sit on the sideline and say, we don't have technicians, you know, and I can't invest in it because it's too much. But at some point, we need shop owners, we need management, we need senior technicians to all buy in on. We've got to help keep this ship floating, right? And you can't wait for everybody else to figure it out. So hopefully you're willing to do your part. If you've been on the sidelines, start looking for that apprentice and start figuring out a program that works for you.
Thanks, Jake. Jake Sorensen from McNeil's. What a great resume. I told you about all this great stuff in the beginning. Zach, I'm going to screw your last name up here again, but let me take a shot at it. Zach Coccimiglio, both ASE world-class technicians, and Bill Weaver, NAPA Autotech trainer, EV Ready Training Center, and good friend of Tracy's.
Really, old man?
Thanks for being here.